Well, who are you? Who am I? Well, we have names, don't we? But we're more than just our names. Our names probably are just labels. They don't have a particular meaning. They might do. But are you, well, how are you defined? How do we know who you are? Are you defined by your job? A lot of folks, I think, might describe themselves in that way in terms of what they do. Are you an engineer? Are you a shop worker? Are you an IT consultant? Are you a nurse? Well, that might be what you say when I say, well, who are you or what are you? The great preacher Martin Lloyd-Jones down the road in West London there, Westminster Chapel, used to speak about how some of his doctor colleagues wanted to be known till their dying day as doctors. They wanted to be addressed as doctors because it made them feel important. And so they were always doctor, always doctor. And that was their identity, that was who they were. Perhaps we're defined by our relationships. So some people might say, I'm a mother. That's what defines me above all else. That's how I think of myself before anything else. I knew someone for whom that seemed to be the most important thing she could say about herself. She wanted more than anything to be seen as a mother and a good mother. Nowadays, a lot of people will talk about who they are in terms of their sexuality. We've already touched on this. Some will say, I'm gay. Some will say, I'm straight. As if that was the most important thing about them, their sexual orientation. Some will go to sport first. And for them, part of who they are, or maybe the most important part of who they are, is the team they support. So you might be a West Ham fan, or an Arsenal fan, or a Liverpool fan, even better. But maybe it defines who you are. First and foremost, you think of yourself as a football fan. And so you wear the shirt and the scarf and the hat frequently as you can, and you're West Ham till you die. That's another way to think of yourself, isn't it? You might think of yourself in terms of your education, where you were educated, and what you achieved, and what qualifications you've got. You might want to talk about that, or think in that way about yourself, or the class you come from. Are you working class? Are you upper class? Are you middle class? What country do you come from? Again, that might be high in terms of your self-identity or your self-understanding. You know, you're from a part of Africa. You're from Australia. You're from America. You're from Portugal or Italy or wherever, and that's important to you. Or maybe just a part of the country. I know people from Yorkshire who are very proud of being Yorkshire people. God's own country, they call it. Maybe the East End for you. You think, I'm an East Ender and I'm proud of it. And that's part of who I am. That's my identity. So there's many different ways that we can size up who we are, define who we are and what we are. And of course, with that comes a sense of purpose, doesn't it? But like I said, there's a lot of confusion around us, particularly on the question of gender identity. People aren't sure if they're a man or a woman. They're not sure if they're worth much. If we're just a result of chance and of evolution, then we're not worth very much, are we? We're not sure, a lot of folks are not sure what the purpose of life is. What's it all about? What are we here for? You'll find people speaking about there being no ultimate purpose to life, and so you've got to make up your own. You just make it up. But actually there's no real purpose to life. That's a very common view today. And I wonder if I asked you, well, what would you say if I asked you to describe yourself beyond your own name and maybe any physical characteristics? What would you say? How would you describe yourself? How would you identify yourself? What would come first to your mind? Your nationality, your sexuality, your job, profession, whatever. Your football team.